Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello there, my friends. This is Kevin Lopez from Personal Tutors. Today we are going to explain to you the chapter, The Ashes That Made the Trees Bloom. Now, this is from 7th Standard Honeycomb book. The author is William E. Griffiths and is a Japanese story, my friends. This is a story again about the connection between humans and the animalia. You have been experiencing quite a numerous lessons or chapters, my friends, that have been explaining you the connection between us humans and nature. There is a specific reason for this type of lessons included in 7th Standard. The syllabus is designed so that your growing minds can know the importance of nature, the fauna, that is the animalia around you, and the connect that they share as well. So this story revolves around the ancient times in Japan, which were the times of the daimyos. Now, daimyo is basically a term given to the local headman in a territory. You can call him a sort of a king or a caretaker who is taking care of the territory and has got powers, my friends. Yes, powers. So the story starts with an old farmer and his wife. They actually have got a dog. The wife has sewn a crepe blanket for the dog, and the dog snugs on it as a beautiful cat. The dog really knows that his owners are really taking care of him. They feed him with their own chopsticks. It's just like feeding your pet with your spoon, my friends. They feed him the pieces of fish. They give him as much as boiled rice that he wants. So there are many things that the dog recollects. They actually named the dog Miko. Now this is a Japanese word. The dog accompanies his master to the fields as well. His master's got a peculiar habit of feeding the birds and the creatures that come around him. What happens is, our dear dog here understands the kind heart that the old farmer had. This dog too never irritated the other creatures by barking on them or making them run away or something like that. That can be explained in the lines that the dog never made the flamingo run away. He patiently and calmly sees his master feeding the birds and sits around. One fine day, the dog comes running to the master, pounds his feet on the master's legs, and takes him somewhere. He starts scratching the ground out there. The master digs the ground with a shovel only to find a heap of gold. Now, suddenly, the old farmer and his wife are rich. They purchase a land, they put up a feast for the neighbors, and they give gifts to the poor neighbors as well. And they give them dearly. So what happens here is, there is this greedy farmer nearby in the neighbors who comes to know about the luck that Miko, the dog, has brought to the old farmer. What they do now is they lure the dog to their house. They drag him out of the house of the old farmer and take him to the woods and speak between them. Let's see if he can scratch the ground and gold comes up. He can do it for us as well. What they do is they drag the poor dog to the forest, make him sniff at places, and at one place where the dog sniffs, they start digging, only to find a dead kitten buried there, whose odor almost makes their noses snuffed. The greedy farmer here gets angered because he is quite famous of kicking all the dogs who come in their vicinity, and our poor dog knew that. What he does is he starts kicking the dog, beating him. They beat him to death, and finally his wife almost chops his head off with the shovel. That's what they do. They throw the dog in the pit, cover it with the earth, the soil, and they walk out. Now, the dog comes in the dream of the old farmer once again. And just to pay gratitude towards the pity, the love that the farmer and his wife had shown to the dog, he informs the farmer to go to a certain pine tree, cut it in half, and make a sawmill and a crusher out of it. What happens is, the dog also says that it would help you to make rice pastry at the end of the year, that is the new year. The farmer, one fine day, puts in the boiled rice and starts heaping it in a mold to make pastries, only to find the mold turned again into gold. The old farmer is mesmerized once again. His wife puts in the beans in the sawmill to get the flour out, and as she does that, liquid gold starts to pour out, my friends, and the whole heap is filled with gleaming gold. It is when the greedy farmer and his wife actually see this happening. What they do next is they borrow the sawmill from the farmer, take it to their place, and the greediness of theirs makes them turn the sawmill as well in order to get some gold. Now what happens here is, immediately the beans turn into dying worms, smelly worms again. The farmer and his wife are enraged. They almost break down the sawmill. They burn it and turn it to the ashes. This is when the dog encounters the old farmer once again in his dreams and says everything about what had happened, how he was being killed, how did they go ahead and turn the sawmill into the ashes. That is what the dog informs. The poor old farmer goes to the greedy farmer's residence and asks him for the ashes. The greedy farmer actually encounters him and informs him about the ashes being representing him as a thief. That's when the old farmer says he just wants the ashes and he needs to go out. That's it. He does that. As informed by the dog, he takes the ashes, throws it at the cherry tree in his courtyard that was almost withering away, and immediately the cherry tree starts to blossom. That's a sight everybody is quite amazed of. They're mesmerized by the fact. Again, now it is the Daimyo who is visiting the village. The old farmer climbs up the tree because it was forbidden by the villagers to look down upon the Daimyo, since it would be a bad omen. What the villagers had to do was they had to stretch their arms and feet and bow down until the Daimyo walks away in his palanquin. The old farmer climbs up the tree even while being noticed by one of the soldiers. Immediately, while the Daimyo's palanquin or the caravan was below the tree, throws the ashes again at the cherry tree that was withered, and it again blossoms. This makes the Daimyo amazed. He comes down of the palanquin, greets the farmer gives him silk, provides him food and rations, and even invites him to his castle. Once again, here the greedy farmer comes to know what had happened. What he does is, he repeats the act done by the old farmer, only to get the ashes thrown over the tree. Incidentally, nothing happens. The daimyo and his wife, the highness, are in the palanquin, actually smoke in the ashes and cough their hearts out. What the daimyo does is, to do such unspeakable act, gets the greedy farmer beaten, only to be left to die. This is what he gets for his greediness, my friends. We'll have a brief in a few question and answers now. Why did the neighbors kill the dog? The neighbors killed the dog because they did not get what they wanted to achieve. They wanted to get gold, rather they got a dead kitten buried in the ground. Thus they were so furious that out of their rage, they went ahead and killed the dog. The next question is, the old farmer is a kind person. What evidence of his kindness do you find in the first two paragraphs? The first two paragraphs report about the farmer's kindness, my friends. What they explain here is, what is said by the author is, they actually feed the dog with their own chopsticks. They don't keep any characteristic traits of he being an animal or belonging to a certain animalia. They actually feed him with their own chopstick the pieces of fish, and also gave him as much as boiled rice that he wanted. Thus it shows that the old farmer was a kind person. Another fact here informed this, that the old farmer had a habit of feeding the birds and almost all creature while coming back and going to the farm. This was observed by the dog as well. What did the dog do to lead the farmer to the hidden gold? The dog came to the farmer, pounced at his feet, dragged him to where the heap of gold was buried, and when they reached the spot, he started scratching the ground so as to make the farmer believe that there is something out there the dog wants to be dug out. How did the Spirit of God help the farmer first? The first time the Spirit helped the farmer by asking him to chop down a pine tree, go ahead and make a sawmill and a crusher, thus getting gold. How did it help him next? The next time he helped him by asking him to pick the ashes of the sawmill again and shed it over the cherry tree, and while the daimyo would be there, again go ahead and shed it so that he may get recognized. Friends, to the top left of mine, you'll be getting an information button. I request you to press it to be directed towards the related videos and articles that we have published quite earlier for you. And to the right of mine is the direct link of the video related to the honeycomb book. Thank you for attending this session today. Do subscribe to our channel and comment us for more details. This is Kevin.